store, everywhere I go, your name keeps coming up, that this is a place to go when you need your car to be checked. A1 Automotive, why is that you have this reputation?
Well, I think it's because of integrity. We want to fix the right part the first time and be honest and fair with our customers.
That is like the perfect answer, because that's what people want to feel. They want to feel like they can come here and they can get an honest opinion. And I love the fact that you are a locally owned business and you've been here for how many years?
We've been here for just barely 11 years now.
But that's a long time to be in business and to be successful, and that just tells you that you're doing something right. You've got a great sign that kind of just puts a little list of the things that you do here that you specialize in, and the first thing is it says specializing in diagnoses. Explain that to me for someone who doesn't know a lot about cars or how to take care of them.
Well, with cars, most common thing today is check engine light for diagnosis. Most of the time with that, people got used to the 80s cars where check engine lights were on all the time, no matter what. Right. Nowadays, if check engine light's on, something is wrong. Mm-hmm. So that's something that needs to be addressed and fixed.
So when you go to fix it, I know that there's a lot of electronical stuff that you do, but you go a little bit beyond that to make sure that it's done right.
Yeah, it's not as simple as just scanning it and saying this code, this needs an O2 sensor. You don't just replace the O2 sensor, because that's the last thing in line to receive data, so that's the most common code that's out there.
Mm-hmm. But you know how to go in and check an engine or check whatever the problem is, and it saves you a lot of money to get it right the first time, does it not?
It does, for sure.
Yeah. So you also say something about high-performance accessories, and I don't really know what that means.
Well, high-performance stuff is not only racing, like all of us that work here actually race and do jeeping, stuff like that, but with race stuff, it's actually on the cutting edge of technology, and that's where a lot of our dealerships get their information from, is the people out there researching, trying to make cars more efficient, more power, and they're incorporating that into all the later model vehicles as well.
It seems like you would always have to be on the edge of learning and knowing what's out there and how things are running and stuff. Otherwise, you'd get behind and wouldn't be able to keep up with your craft.
Oh, for sure. There's constantly schooling. We go to school every few months. We've got classes that we have to attend and try to stay on top of it.
That's awesome. The next thing on your list, it says exhaust. Why is that important?
Well, besides noise, and a big part of the exhaust is the catalytic converter, which is for emission purposes, something that we've got coming up here 1st of January in this valley that's going to be new with emissions.
Explain that to me, because I did not know that was going to be something coming up.
Well, it's basically going to be a test. There's going to be a visual test as well as a tailpipe type test to make sure we're not putting out too much smog into the atmosphere.
And that's something that everybody's going to have to take care of, or what will happen?
Well, every car from 1968 and newer is going to have to be tested in the valley.
Okay. And that's something that you can do. That's really good to know. The next thing on your list is tune-ups. Now, I kind of know what a tune-up is, but I don't know how often it needs to be done, and what do you look for?
Well, there's a lot of different things. A lot of big things with tune-up nowadays is actually carbon clean because of the ethanol that they're putting in our fuel as well, trying to be cleaner. And it actually makes your engine dirtier. So there's actually a tune-up you can put in the gas tank just to clean the carbon off the valves and pistons and the intake, stuff like that. Most cases, they don't have as many parts as they did in the old cars. We've got spark plugs and PCV valve, and instead of spark plug wires, we mostly have a coil boot that needs to be replaced. But that also will save you money in the long run getting that done to keep it from burning up your catalytic converter or other parts in your vehicle.
And how often do you need to do that? Like once a year, every 6 months? Is it just before you go on a long trip, before you send your kid off to college? What would you recommend?
Well, usually about every 30,000 miles or so is when stuff like that starts to change. Spark plugs are usually good for 100,000 nowadays. But
really good to know. What is CV axles? I don't even know what that is.
Axles is like a drive shaft of old. Most vehicles nowadays are front-wheel drive. Just pretty much every vehicle out there has a CV axle, and that's something that can leave you stranded if you don't stay on top of it and keep it right. And you can also save some money if you get it fixed early.
How do I know that I need to get it fixed in the first place?
Most cases, if it's clicking, it's usually too late. You'll have to replace the whole axle. But if there's a torn boot or something like that, when you get oil changes or state inspections, stuff like that, you'd want to be let know at that time.
So it's just kind of good to have a friend in the business that I can just say, you know what, just take care of my car, and just because I don't want to be walking. We're getting near the end of summer and having to start thinking about winter and getting your car ready and stuff. But you want to be safe and you want to have transportation.
Without a doubt, we're been blessed that way with our customer base. So most of them will drop the car off and say, just fix it. They trust us. So a lot of times we don't even need a phone call. They just know that we're going to do it and be fair and do what's right.
Well, that is a great thing to say, and I love the way that you're a locally owned business. You've been here for 11 years. People love what you do. You have a great reputation. That is success right there. Thank you so much.
Yep, we strive on that and plan on being here for a long time.
Thanks so much.